Sanger West Hornets. What is going on, everyone? This is Andrew Wright from Drew Code Sports Talk, and I am starting somewhat of a new podcast, or I guess you could call maybe a new segment here in the Drew Code family. I am going to be talking about Sanger West High School sports, basically the ones that I'm able to kind of go to and kind of see every now and then. So let's get started. So it is day one of Sanger West football, and Sanger West played Mission Oak, the Mission Oak Hawks, against the Sanger West Hornets, and as I say in the stadium, your Sanger West Hornets. And it was a rough go today. Mission Oak, however, they are the Division III champs here in the Central Valley. So this is a pretty good team. It seemed like they lost a lot of their seniors from last year, though, but have some new guys who are very more than capable of doing what they needed to get done. And the first half, the end of the first half, or at halftime, we were down 21-0. And it wasn't, it sounds worse than what it was, but, there was a couple of fumbles here. The Hawks ended up having a fumble. But some things that kind of stood out to me, and something that I will talk about in a little bit as well. But, the offensive line, there was a lot of breakthroughs in the middle of the offensive line. The runs really couldn't get going. Quarterback Brendan Hall, he ended up having kind of a rough game, not necessarily because he was throwing bad, but really just didn't have too much time to throw. And, in the first half, he really did settle, just when the pressure was getting there, he just ended up taking off and running. And there was probably a few throws that he could have made on the run. But again, there's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts. And at the end of it, listen, it was a good team. Sanger West, is still on the rise. Don't let the score fool you. They are on the rise. Because as you're going to hear later, Coach Garza, who I interviewed after the game, he did so mention, he said, listen, the second half was way better than the first half. The defense specifically really stepped up to the plate, really was ready for the challenge. And I absolutely 100% agree. The final score was 31-0, which means, they only scored 10 points after that. It was only 10 points. So, a lot of improvement that was made in the second half. Aaron Koch Jr., he's got to have a big shout out. He had a really good day. Nicholas Gonzalez Jr., he was pretty stellar. He was playing both sides of the ball. But defensively, he really kind of stood out to me. Those are some big shout outs that I would give prompts to, because those boys specifically really just stood out to me as far as all game long, not just a quarter here, a quarter there. Felt like they were very consistent throughout the game, so very good. The offense had some really good moments. There were a couple of big runs again by Aaron Cox Jr., but DeRay Bland, who's one of their most athletic guys, one of the most athletic athletes I've ever really seen. He was kind of silenced today. And then, as well as another running back that we were kind of using here and there, kind of sporadically, was Malachi Young, and he had a big run in the second half. That was huge. But unfortunately, some unsportsmanlike penalties kind of went against us and really killed any kind of momentum. And that was another thing that we have to say the penalties really, really hurt us here. So that's another thing I did want to talk about was, the Hornets really, really struggled today with penalties. We had a couple of offside penalties that were just, it was just not good football. It's one of those things that, you just you gotta watch the ball. Gotta watch the ball, and they're listening to it versus watching it, and got caught your pants down on that one. I felt like there should have been a few more false start calls going against us. In my honest opinion, there were a few times where we jumped off our eyes, jumped early before the snap, and luckily they didn't call it. And it probably, a lot of it was probably, maybe it was a negative play, or it was just an incompletion, or whatever it may be. They really didn't call it as often as I thought, they might. So, but yeah, it wasn't, those weren't bad. It was the extracurricular activity that was done afterwards, the unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, the personal foul penalties, things like that. Those are absolute drive killers. And I think today we saw a lot of that. And it's a little unfortunate because, like I said, I felt like there was some good things offensively and defensively from the Hornets. But when you have drive killers, well, that's exactly what they do. So, overall, a lot to improve on. But, at the same time, yes, it was 31-0. You look at that score and you go, that's bad. But if you were there, you watch the game, you actually see that, listen, Sanger West could play with them. It's just, you got to execute first. Wrap up and tackle is another one. But the main thing is you got to minimize the mistakes. And that's plain and simple. I mean, that's really with any football team. That's with, high school, college, NFL. You minimize the mistakes. That's how you're going to win. We could talk about, the offense should have done this and the defense should have done this. And yeah, you could always pick and choose on some of those things. But at the end of the day, you got to keep your composure. You got to minimize the mistakes. You got to let your opponent make the mistake and then strike. And I just felt like, we had a lot of times where we were starting to move the ball, or we were moving the ball, and it just came to a halt because a holding penalty or a personal foul. Excuse me. I'm thinking basketball here, a unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, or just anything like that. Really, it just killed whatever we were starting to get or what we were having. And we did attempt a field goal towards the end of the first half, and it just missed. So it was just unfortunate, but there were so many times where the Hornets had an opportunity to score. And like I said, just these little things that happen where, they add up to a big thing. And unfortunately, that big thing tonight was the loss. Again, the quarterback, Brendan Hall, he had some really, really good plays. He had really good scrambles. He had one big, actually a couple of big runs, and he got hit hard and popped right back up and went on and did his thing. So shout out to Brendan. That guy is an ultimate competitor. He is someone that you want on your team because he's going to be a team player. He is a yes coach. What can I do? He's not easily uh, he's mentally all there. Like he's not one of those guys who's going to break because he's losing. What he's going to do is he's going to sling the ball, and he's going to put his guys in good positions. Was he perfect? No. I don't think any of the players today were perfect, but listen, I gotta say, I know it's a 31-0 loss, but you look at it, and to me, it was actually an encouraging day. And you're gonna hear from Coach Garza kind of the encouragement that he had for the boys, and kind of the things that they did. And you know, offensive line, it struggled today, but you know what? At times, it really held up. There were some really big runs. There were some really big throws. It's just experience. A lot of these kids still need experience. This is still a very brand new school. But all in all, man, I am proud to be a Sanger West Hornet. I am so happy for these guys who played their absolute hearts out. I know they probably got yelled at by a few of their coaches, but at the same time, I'm sure these coaches are saying, "Listen, man, now there's no way up from here." Like excuse me, that is a miss. There is nowhere else to fall. Now the only way we can go is up, and I'm very proud of the fight that they had. It's experience, it's time. I'm sure, honestly, I really think that this team is going to look a whole lot better towards the end of the season, because you're really going to see the improvement from this team, because they're just going to take each and every week by week, week by week, week by week, and they're going to build upon this program. So it was a tough loss. I want to shout out Coach Thompson. He's a phenomenal man. He is such a kind-hearted man, and just is competitive as all get out. And he deserves the best. And listen, these boys play for him. So really want to shout him out. Coach Garza, I want to shout him out for coming on to the show. And in just a second, you are going to hear the interview that I had. And like I said, Coach Garza really talks on the positivity that he's going to take from this team, and who kind of stood out to him, and some things that they need to fix. So I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I know I did, because it gets everything off my chest. So I love it. Thank you guys, and I hope to see you next week. All right, I'm here with Coach Josiah Garza.
Yes, sir.
Josiah, was a tough loss against Mission Oak today, 31-0. But let's take what would you say are some positives from you and the coaching staff from tonight's game that you guys are going to take home?
Yeah, we started off rocky, and I think the positive thing is we came at the second half stronger than the first half. Our defense really stepped it up. Offense still couldn't find the end zone, but guys didn't lose hope. Surprisingly, first play we fumbled. Everyone kind of got distraught, got scared, but we dialed it back in. We tried to hold on as much as we can. And, I guess the positive is they kept on training.
Defensively, it seemed like we had a hard time stopping the run. Why were the Hawks so successful tonight with that run?
I think they're just fundamental. They did the little things right. They were patient on the run. I think our guys were just waiting. They seemed to wait for the blocks to happen instead of penetrating. But I think at the end of the day, they were just fundamental. They did the little things that we didn't capitalize on.
Offensive line seemed to struggle tonight as well. How do you guys shore that up?
Yeah, we had a lot of guys going both ways. I think conditioning comes in hand. But we have a good offensive line coach, AB. I know he's going to go in on the drawing board and make sure we just clean everything up. So.
All right, and we'll end on a positive.
Yeah.
Who was your standout player for the Hornets tonight?
I think someone that really just didn't give up was Aaron Cox. He ran the ball. He was going both ways. TK, he had some cramping, but he kept going. Hunter, I had to pick one. It's pretty hard. Malachi Young showed a little bit of heart out there. But I gotta say, Aaron, you did a good job not giving up at TK. So those are my guys right there.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach Guardian.
Love you guys.